Some people argue that individuals in the United States making $250,000 a year belong to the middle class. Others disagree. But the term middle class is ambiguous. What it means depends on who you ask. So let's ask, what are some ways to define the middle class? A 2010 international study defined the global middle class as households that spend between $10 and $100 per person per day. But this definition becomes skewed in more wealthy or poor nations. India, for instance, considers their middle class to be households that spend at least $4 a day. Here in the US, an average American spends closer to $95 a day. Companies often define the middle class by looking at purchasing power. In developing countries like India or China, the middle class often refers to people who can afford appliances. In wealthy countries, the middle class can afford larger purchases, like cars. Since the 1960s, the United Kingdom has measured a social grade, not by income, but by occupation. A skilled manual worker is still seen as working class, while a clerk is middle class, even though the manual worker may be making several times what the clerk takes home. In the United States, where class is usually defined by money, the median income is about $52,000 a year. Definitions like these don't indicate that a $250,000 a year earner would qualify as middle class, but according to a 2010 BDO study, between mortgages, taxes, and childcare, an average family of four in Huntington, New York would actually incur $277,000 worth of expenses, effectively going into the red on only $250,000 a year. The middle class is an effective talking point for politicians and economists because it's so malleable. But for settling debates about specific numbers, this ambiguous phrase leaves something to be desired.